Hello, everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory, and we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. So today is going to be a quickish episode. It's a solo Mal episode. Vic can't record today, but that's okay. I really did want to get out at least a bonus episode for you guys. Because like I always say, I like to have 2 episodes a week because I do want to continue to be consistent and I want you guys to continue to get good content from us. And one of the ways to guarantee you get good content from us is to help us out by supporting us and getting some of our merch. We have the Anti-Abortion Social Club sweatshirts, and then people ask, so we have them in stickers and long sleeve as well. So if that's something you're interested, we have the letters in pink, the letters in blue, black, and white. So if you want to help continue to support us, it'd be great if you can get our merch. It's thosearethegirls.com/merch, and you can see that there. And it's great for the Merch for Life coming up. And I'm going to be wearing mine at Dobbs as well. And then I wore it today I went to a Reverse Row rally, and I wore it there as well. So anyway, that's a great way to help the podcast continue. It is getting to be rather expensive, but I think that this is something that's needed. I think this is something that I know from you guys speaking with me that it is benefiting you. So I'm going to keep doing it no matter what. And God will always provide. But it can also help if you guys can help support. So that's one of the things. And another way you can help support is we also have a subscription. If you go to the homepage and click donate, you can support us for $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. And that will make a huge difference if you could help us in that way. So this episode is kind of just going to be a quick episode. Victoria turned 26 on the 25th. Oh, so I guess last year was her golden birthday. I didn't even realize that. But she turned 26 on the 25th. And then my birthday is the 29th. So it's going to be 2 days after this episode is released. And one of the things I wanted us to do is kind of talk about just some lessons that we learned. Just more of like a sit back and learn, educate yourself type episode that I'm saying we, like it's just more than me, but me and you as in you, the listener, something that we're just going to learn and talk about. So first thing I wanted to talk about in this like turning a new leaf type thing is, so I am turning 27 and I also am really big on like goals and like planning. I am definitely a planner. Like I'm not one of those people who can just like sit back and like not I don't know. I plan. I can't not plan. And so at the end of every month, at the beginning of every month, I like to write down like a goal or two that I'm more than two, but I like to write down goals that I'm working toward, things that I want to get accomplished at the beginning of the month. And then I do also that at the beginning of the year. And then I also do it at the beginning of on my birthday. So I haven't done it for this year. I'm recording this on the 27th. I'll probably do this, sit down and write on the 28th, like some things I wanted to accomplish this year. And then I also write some things that I did accomplish the previous year. That's just something for me to do to reflect. I've been like this for quite some time. And then, for example, like for the month of December, I'm not going to have in my journal, that I keep, like my goals, I'm not going to have anything for December because I did it for the 29th. But I will have something for January 1st. That will be for the full year, and I won't do anything for January, and then I'll start in February. Anyway, and sometimes just like repeat goals, like overarching goals. When I do it over the month, I try to be a little bit more specific. So like if a goal is, for example, like if my overarching goal for the year is to read like 300 books, then for that's a huge goal. But let's just say that's my goal. For whatever reason, I need to read 300 books. So then that'll be my goal for January. Then when in February, it'll be like, that'll be my goal for like the whole year. And February, okay, I need to knock out 15 books this month. Something like that. So yeah. So in that vein, I also like to look and see like what has worked, what hasn't worked, why X, Y, and Z was successful, why it was not successful, what are some things that happen that I'm not really happy about, what are some things that happen that I am happy about. And for this year, my word for this year was pivot. And I really learned a lot pivoting. I think a lesson that I learned these past 2 years, honestly, and this is a tough lesson at the beginning of this statement because people are going to, I'm sure someone's going to be like, this is so negative, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you keep listening, you'll understand. One of the lessons I learned is sometimes your dream does not come true. And that's hard because there's something I still struggle with today. Whether do you keep going at something or do you stop because it's God telling you that this isn't for you? And that is something hard to understand, something to grasp. And there's a few dreams of mine that I had to come to the realization that God is probably closing this door. I'm not 100% certain because, you can't really be 100% certain on those things until you're through it. I'm not 100% certain, but I'll say I'm 98% certain that these doors are closed because God wants them to be closed, not because of anything that, not no matter how much I knock on this door, it's still not going to open. So do I keep knocking on the door or do I try to move on and do I pivot? And for me, this year has been a year of pivot. A lot of things in my life I had not really planned for. It's all been by God and God's grace. There's things that I have, jobs that I have, roles that I've accepted that I didn't even know existed until God opened that door. And I think that's just something, that's why I really encourage everyone to sit down and do this. I feel like part of the reason why I do it, um, so like my birthday's in November, New Year's in January. I feel like I'm so focused on that because this is the time when people are doing that. So I already have it in my head to like, okay, let's see what I've done this year, what I did last year. I already have that in my head. So I think that if your birthday's in May, you still should really do it. I think it's good to do like a half year check-in with yourself. And I think having goals is so important. And the reason why having goals is important is because that's how you're going to be able to get to the next spot. If we don't have goals, if we don't have quote unquote vision, I hate that because that sounds very prosperity gospel like, but if we don't have goals and we, aren't dreaming, then we're not going to know where to go to the next step. And one thing that, I don't remember who I heard say this, but it's something that I've been thinking about and working on is like continue to have your goals and then just do what God tells you to do right now and then wait for your next instructions. So I think that's another thing that I just really am working on myself, and I really want everybody listening to think about and work on too. Is like having your goal and just waiting for God to tell you when to move next. Another thing that someone told me, I'm just giving you guys a bunch of just random facts that I've learned over the years. One of the things God told me, or not God told me, someone told me, was that I complicate things in the sense of like, I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't want to make this move until I know that it's God. So sometimes we sit back waiting to make moves and doing things because we don't know if it's God, when really God just wants you to just go and make a move. Like either way, God will bless it. For example, one of the things, something in my life, there was a point where I was debating whether I should move to another country and teach English or stay and do a program. And I wasn't sure which one God had for me. I just wasn't sure. And my friend, like, his advice was like, I don't think either one of them is wrong. I don't think either one of them is bad. I don't think God doesn't necessarily care either way. Just make a move. Like, it's better to make a move instead of you just sitting here in limbo and then you miss a deadline on either one of those, on both of them, or something like that. So that is really, really good advice that I've received over the years. And I think, when we're going through seasons and changes and especially these last couple of years, and my heart really goes out to everyone that is going to be graduating in 2022 because, I mean, we're in such uncertain times. We're seeing, as we've said, and I said this in another episode, I'll say this again, like, elections have consequences. Like, we are seeing all of these things happening. We're seeing the effects of X, Y, and Z. And it's not, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for people who are in this. It's unfortunate for people who are going into the workforce. And my heart really goes out to you. So I think during this time, it's just so important to be praying and asking God, because sometimes I remember hearing people before I had more than one option. I remember hearing people talk about all these options, and sometimes people don't even have that one option. So sometimes it's just like praying to God, asking God to open any door at this point. Like, God, I mean, I just need a door. I'm not even asking for my dream anymore. I just need a door. And I've been there too. So I really am praying for everyone that's going through that. And I think that in this season that I'm in and that a lot of other people are in, we really have to focus on God, on our relationship with God, and how and our calling. I think that that's something that people think about and talk about, but don't really focus on. And it's very it's one of those like focus on your calling. Like everyone's people say that willy nilly. It's not even that big of a statement. It's just focus on your calling, focus on your calling. But it's never it. It should be something that we really are doing. That something that we really do think about. And if you're walking in your calling, then that's what matters. If you're doing what God has asked you to do, obedience is so much better than having the car that you want, the dream jobs you want, the husband, the kids. Like, your calling is what's more important. What God has called you to do is way more important than any of those things. And God could call you to have a specific job. God can call you to have to be a mother. God can call you to be a wife. But the fact of the matter is, what God has called you to do is way more important than these other things that we want to do. And I think like this is the time that we need to be focusing in on it. I think it's a time that we need to be we need to laser focus. And that's what I'm doing. I'm in a place where I am pretty content, and I just want to keep this up. I want to keep working on this, keep making sure that I'm reading my Bible, because that's the other thing too. Like, the moment you stop reading your Bible and praying and going to church, that's when you just get so distracted by everything else. Because if you're not filling yourself up with the word, then other things are filling you up. And honestly, other things are just sad and depressing. This time of the year can be sad and depressing for some people. I know for myself, I love Christmas, but it does make me sad when I think I miss my grandma so much. When I was born, she moved in with my parents and lived with us. She was basically my third parent. And like, I'm happy and excited, especially around like my birthday, because her birthday was November 17th and mine's November 29th. And we just always did birthday things similar to each other. And I was supposed to be born November 17th. And like, it's just tiny things like that. Like, it's super exciting and happy, but I miss my grandma. And I'm sure there's some people out there who miss their family, who miss their parents, who miss siblings. I can't imagine not having my sibling right now. And also too, some of us that are single that don't necessarily want to be, it could be hard watching, because now is engagement season. From like now to February, every other day you're going to have a friend, someone close that you know, or that one person you met at a party your sophomore year that you randomly follow still on Instagram. Between them, one of them is going to get engaged. Multiple of them are going to get engaged during this time, so that could be kind of hard too. It could be hard if you're sick and you can't really be around people, your loved ones, your friends, or your family. It could be hard if you're like working jobs and you, for example, like some people have to work through Christmas and you can't go home to be with your family. You really want to be with your family, or even your friends. You can't be with your friends. So this could be like a very difficult season. And if you're not filling yourself up with the word, if you're not filling yourself up going to church, and I know going to church is so, so important. I can tell a difference in my week if I went and if I didn't go. Absolutely. So going to church is so important. Getting that church community is so, so important. I know it's hard to find a good church. Trust me, I know, especially with all of these mega churches. And if you're really caring about your theology, I know that it can be very difficult to find a church that's theologically sound, especially nowadays, because everyone and their grandmother has a ministry degree. And not everyone and their grandmother is necessarily called, but that's that's my controversial statement for the evening. But it's so important. If we're not doing these things, we can get so distracted, and this could be like such a difficult season for us. I really don't, because I know how I feel sometimes. I really don't want anyone listening to ever feel that way. So I really want to encourage you to read your Bibles. I want to encourage you to go to church. I want to encourage you to pray. I want to encourage you to talk to somebody. And I'm talking to myself now, because I am the queen of like keeping it in. I understand. So if you are like, I don't like to talk it out, I get you. I probably shouldn't. I'm, being a little. I need to do better myself. Let's just put it that way. I need to do better myself. Yeah, this is the time. This is the season. Another lesson that I learned, or just something that, not necessarily a lesson I learned, but just something that I really try to do more, I guess, is speaking up. I really this last year, honestly, I have been very blessed with having opportunities to speak at different events, and it's really helped me to a know what I'm talking about, because sometimes you just, and I'll say this because I've been a talker my whole life. Sometimes I'll just, especially when I was younger, in high school and middle school, sometimes I would just start talking like that Michael Scott quote where he's like, I just start talking and then I just see where it goes. Especially when I was younger, I would do that. I'll admit that. I just talked to talk. And but if someone asks you to come and speak on a topic, you can't just go blah 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 blah, blah. Like that doesn't work. You have to know what you're talking about. So that has been one thing that I have really been this year. I've really been not, I guess, forced to make sure that I understand what I'm saying. I've been forced to learn some facts, and it's been a good thing. And number two, it's also too to like check my heart and make sure that I'm truly for this cause, and this cause, I mean, pro-life movement. And do I truly believe that life begins at conception and every human deserves to be protected from womb to tomb? Do I truly believe that? Because if I'm going to go and put myself out there, if I'm going to go and speak, and I'm going to go and be known to in certain circles, like, yeah, that girl's pro-life. If I'm going to be that person, do I truly believe that? And I think that last year, more than anything, and the year before, really, these past 2 years, it's really been something that I have had to make sure and grasp onto, and really get solidified in. And I think everybody listening, if you are going to be in any type of movement or something like this, you have to realize that for yourself as well. Like, this now is not the time for you to be fence sitters. You have to make a stance, and you have to know why. And like we always say, there's the normies who get to go about life not thinking about politics all the time, and you guys are blessed. And then there's the rest of us. And if you're going to be if you're going to be a political, you need to know why you believe what you believe. Even on, I mean, the life issue, for one, that's the most important issue to me. But I mean, even on things like freedom of speech, like, why do I believe it's important for us to be able to have the right to speak out? Why, like this? Why do I think everyone, if they want a podcast, should have a podcast? Is that fair? Is that fair for me to go in here and tell my beliefs, but of what I believe, which I believe is right? No, I mean, I think it's just right. But, Mary Sue thinks something else. Why do I think it's fair for her to still talk even though she's wrong? These are the things I've been thinking about, and like I've been like working on making sure I'm solidified and like why I truly believe in this past year. And I think that's just another thing that, you're going about your life and getting older. I think that's just another thing too for you to seriously think about these things. And I think that when you when you get that conviction, that's what my mom always called it, your conviction. When you get your conviction, God will open doors for you. And I don't mean doors necessarily for you to speak or doors for you on Instagram, but I mean doors for you to like have conversations with people, because that is really what is so important, is the everyday conversations you have with your friends, your everyday conversations you have with in your classroom, maybe even on the bus going somewhere. I think that's what's really important. The only way we're going to fix this country is we change hearts and minds. We change the culture by doing things, and by doing your own podcast. You change the culture by wearing cute merch that makes has a message. You change the culture, by supporting businesses that are have the same message as you. That's how you change culture. You change laws by voting in the right people. That is something I'm going to talk about that in a second. We see elections have consequences. We have to make sure we are going out and we are using our voice and we are voting. But the way we're going to make the biggest change is if we change people's hearts and minds. And that is, I mean, that's the biggest thing. And I think that we need the Holy Spirit. Absolutely. You need the Holy Spirit for that. Because what works for person A might not work for person B. I know that there's certain styles that some of these popular people have that I just are not my style. Let's just put it that way. That's not how I would try to reach someone. And if someone tried to reach me that way, I wouldn't respond well. But clearly some people like that and that works for them. But the only way you're going to know that is through discernment. You just have to use discernment when you're going out, when you're speaking to your friends, when you're doing X, Y, and Z. So now I guess I really want to talk about like Those Other Girls. I feel like I do an episode like this every couple of weeks, but I mean, I don't know how else to like get people to understand and like to get you guys to I don't know, and there could be someone new listening to this that doesn't know. So the purpose of Those Other Girls really is to change culture and to bring back traditional values in the sense that we want to change culture. We want, for example, just use a life issue. We want everyone to be anti-abortion. And the only way we're going to do that is through changing culture. It's through having conversation. It's through speaking up, speaking out. And like this podcast, it is our attempt at that. We talk about other fun things. We talk about pop culture. We have true crime now. We talk about relationships. I mean, I just gave some random advice. We talk about all these things, but it's all from a Christian conservative perspective. And some of the things that I say could go cross religion slash political ideology, but some of it might not. For example, I'm going to always tell you to pray before X, Y, and Z. You need to ask God. I'm gonna say stuff like that, and not all of these podcasts are going to do that. And this isn't necessarily like this super Christian-y, like okay, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that at all. It's just this is how I talk. I mean, one of my friends like pointed this out, and I didn't realize other people didn't do this. But like when things happen, like my automatic something good, my automatic language is like thank you Jesus. That's just how I don't know, I've just been raised like that. Or I'll say like, oh, praise God. And like not everybody talks like that, but like that's how I talk. So that's how I'm not going to censor that in a podcast episode. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to express that. So that's really like the purpose of Those Other Girls. And that's just something that I think was needed in this podcast space. The best way for other people to know about this though is to make sure you guys are sharing it. Seriously, if you're listening and you're like, I really do like this. I really do want more people to know about this. Share this podcast, share this episode, share some of our other episodes. We've done some amazing episodes this year. I mean, we've interviewed some really cool people. We've done some episodes too on just various topics. So 2022 is our midterms, and eventually in January we're going to start working on some episodes kind of explaining what is a senator, because we have in North Carolina, and I know Vic and I talk about this a lot, but North Carolina, we have a big Senate race coming up. What is a senator? What is a congressional representative? Oh, your state has its own Supreme Court. Explain more about that. Like, I want to have videos like that for you guys to A, for you to understand, and then B, for you to share with your friends that might not know, that might not be politicos like us. They might just kind of be a little bit like, oh, I don't really care. And I want this podcast to be also for those people. And yeah, I want this to also be for those people who don't really care. I want them to at least feel like they're getting a little bit of something out of it. So we're going to do episodes like that. We're going to continue to have some really good guests that are in the pro-life movement, that are conservative, that are, I want to start reaching across the aisle to get, I have some good friends that are part of like Democrats for Life, and I would love to interview them and talk with them some this upcoming year. I want to do more for Respect Life Month. I want to do more for, Women's Month. This podcast is for women by women. I really, like I always say, women are and men are not equal, but they are. I'm sorry, men and women are not the same, but they're equal in value. God sees us both equally in value, but we're not the same. And I want to make sure that women understand that and understand the beauty in that, the beauty in the fact that we are different from men. We have roles, we have abilities, we have different things that God has blessed us with that he, for whatever reason, decided not to do for men. Not saying that we're better than men, but let me tell you, I wouldn't want to be a man. I love being a woman. Not saying that we're better than men, but it's just we're different, and that's okay. And that's the other thing too. I just really want us to understand that that's okay, and that women, we can be strong, we can be feminine, we can be girly. That's another thing too. I just wish we get pink's my favorite color. I've been a girly girl my whole life, and I just sometimes think that it in my generation, I just have friends that I just remember weren't very girly, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like sometimes it was just kind of like, I don't want to be too girly because blah blah blah, and I think that's so silly. Like, if you want to be girly, be girly. If you want to wear a flower flowy dress in the middle of a field, do it. Why not? It's fine. And I want us to promote that somehow through the podcast. Now I'm like, how are we going to promote this in the podcast? But yeah, that's one of the things I really want us to do. I just want us to encourage that, and we're going to talk more about birth control, about the dangers. As you know, we are this whole everybody that speaks in this podcast. Well, me, Mel, and Vic, we're all anti-birth control. I want to talk more, get more into that, get more into the dangers of it. And even not even necessarily from a religious or a pro-life standpoint, which there's arguments for both to be against birth control, but also from just like a caring about other women, like our bodies and how our bodies are supposed to function. There's tons of reasons to be anti-birth control. I want us also to continue to support women with our pads and tampons. I'm really thinking of trying to figure out how to do like maybe like a special nonprofit or something, because we had on Olivia Stelter, who has Women of Mountain City. Check that organization out, and I love what they're doing. They are able to also help girls in high school, like have little bags for them so they don't have to miss out on class and school. That's amazing. I want to continue to do that. I also want to continue to uplift small Christian conservative businesses, especially small Christian conservative businesses run by women. I want to continue to do that. We're going to do our Christmas small business list. It's going to be out, I believe December 1st. We're going to have that out. We're going to have just different businesses to support and their website and what they sell, things like that. We're going to have that out on the blog, and probably we'll send out the list to our email list. So if you're not part of our email, make sure you send us your email. Shoot us an email at hello.thosearethegirls.com. Nope, that's not the email. hello.thosearethegirls@gmail.com, or just message us, DM us on Instagram, and just say, hey, I really want to be added to the email list, and we'll add you to the email list. But yeah, those are the type of things that I want to do. I want to continue to grow this community. I want to continue to provide you guys with just really good content, really good things that are going to be helpful and useful for you to continue to move on in your everyday life. And once again, the only way we're going to do that is one of the ways we're going to do that is by you sharing and telling everyone you know about it. And also, too, what really helps is leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts. I really want us to get on one of those, the list, the top 5, top 10, something like that, just so more people can see it. So the more people that see this, the more people who can hear a different perspective. That's the other thing, too. Even with our, for example, an episode that we've gotten a lot of good feedback on is behind the scenes of Planned Parenthood. A lot of people did not know some of that stuff was going on. And I can say X, Y, and Z is going on in Planned Parenthood all day, every day, but everybody's going to just assume I have some sort of agenda, and I do. It is to shut them down. But it's not going to mean the same for me as it was from hearing from Annette. Now, Annette can, she was there. Like, you can't dispute what Annette says. She knows what actually is going on in Planned Parenthood. So, which is really great hearing from her, and like episodes like that are really good to get out there, to get out so people know the truth. And the only way people can do that is if you guys make sure you're sharing, you're rating, you're reviewing, you're subscribing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's another place that we really want to continue to grow. Rumble, if you listen on Rumble or watch on Rumble, that's fantabulous. Thank you so much. Share that as well. I just want, going back to wrapping this up, I guess, because I don't want to, sometimes I'll ramble for like an hour, and I don't want to do that to you guys. But wrapping this all up, I just really want this to be beneficial for everyone listening. I say with Mallory and Friends because it's not the Mallory show. It's not about me. It is about all of us. It's about me, you listening, Vic, Mel, Annette, even like Bob. We had Bob on talking about Cuba. He gave us a little bit of information on what was going on in Cuba when it was. It's about all of us. It's about all of us coming together as a community. It's about us working to change culture, because at the end of the day, this is our country. This is our world. God gave us dominion over this land. So we need to be good stewards over it. And that's in voting. That's one of the things I say for voting. But like just in general, like being kind and generous and loving and showing grace to our fellow man, that's really important as well. So to wrap all this up, thanks everybody for listening. You guys have made this year a fabulous year for me. Those Other Girls has grown so much, and I have like talked to so many different people. I've met people randomly, and I'm like, oh, I listen to your podcast, and that means a lot to me that people are listening, and that random people who I don't even know are listening. It means a lot to me because I really like, this is not about me. I really want this. I keep saying and I'm thinking it's not about me, but no, really it isn't. I really want people to hear this and to feel, I want those who are Christian conservatives to feel heard. I want them to feel like, okay, I relate to this girl. I relate to these people up here. I'm not alone. I might feel like I'm alone because in my college dorm, I'm the only person who thinks this way, but I'm not alone. I want them to feel that. And then number two, I want our liberal Lizzie friends to hear this and be like, wow, so not all conservatives are mean, stuck up old white men. Well, maybe I'll give this ideology a chance, you know. And I mean, let me tell you guys this story really quick. I reached out. Well, I didn't reach out. This girl reached out to me because when I did the march, the women's march, I tagged the women's march, I believe, or like I hashtag or something. Anyway, you could find me because I was there. And this girl reached out to me and she was like, hey, I don't know, you don't know me, but I was at the Women's March. I remember seeing you there, and I just kind of wanted to hear a little bit about why you are pro-life, and could you, and she asked me not to use any religious reasons because she said she has trauma from that. So after I prayed, because that's really sad, she has trauma, and not to use religious reasons, that I can do that for sure, but you know, it's easier because anyway. So I prayed about that, and then the second thing I did was I was just like, I told her the truth. I told her from a scientific and a philosophical reason why I am pro-life and why I believe what I believe. And I told her she can reach out at any time. And she said I was the kindest, most calmest person she's ever talked to about this, and that is incredibly sad. When I was doing phone banking with Students for Life last year, and I called a few people and ended up having conversations, I simply said at one point, I was like, well, that's why he said, made a comment about, well, what about all these babies out there? And I was like, well, that's why pregnancy resource centers are important. That's why we come together as a community. It is our responsibility to help our fellow neighbors. We're not just in this by ourselves. Sometimes we get caught up in individualism, too caught up in individualism, when we really need to be helping one another. You know, I think that's something we all can agree on. And he was like, well, I never heard a pro-lifer say that. And I'm just like, that's sad. Because that's a huge part of the pro-life community. Pregnancy resource centers, pregnancy help organizations, what they're called now. Pregnancy help organizations are so important. So I think that when we're sharing this podcast, when you're talking with your friends, because if you're talking with your friends, I'm assuming you're probably calm and collected. When you're talking with your friends, it's just super important for us to be vocal so people know. Some people don't know who around them is anti-abortion, because the reality is, like I said before, the default is to be pro-abortion. The default is to be pro-abortion. We don't know who around us is anti-abortion until we speak up. So, all that to say, everyone, thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something at the beginning, some of my random thoughts and everything, and I hope that you continue to listen. And if you have any ideas for new episodes, if you want to be on the podcast, please reach out. Let me know. We would love to have you, because once again, it is a community. It is about those other girls. All of us, not the Mallory Show. It's all of us. So reach out if you have an idea for an episode. If you want to be on, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great holiday. We'll have a brand new great episode for you on Tuesday that you're going to love. So